The first scream wasn't human. It ripped through the rusted walls of the scrapyard just minutes before dawn, a sound so sharp it made every metal sheet tremble. Arin froze mid-step, grease on his hands, breath caught in his throat. He had worked in this junkyard for 12 years and heard engines die 1,000 different ways, but never a sound like this. It was alive. It was pleading. He followed the noise between mountains of abandoned ship parts until he reached a shattered cargo pod, half buried in sand. Something moved inside. Something small. Something breathing erratically like it had been crying for hours. Arin pulled the twisted metal aside. There, curled among wires and dust, was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. Tiny, shimmering scales catching the weak sunlight. Wings too fragile to lift. Trembling so hard, the metal beneath her vibrated. As soon as she sensed him, she whispered in a broken, exhausted voice he didn't understand, yet somehow felt inside his mind. "Nobody wants me." Arin stumbled back, heart pounding. A dragon. A hatchling. Alive and terrified. She tried to hide her face with her burnt little wings, as if expecting to be struck. As if someone or something had thrown her away like scrap metal. Arin's voice cracked. "Hey, I'm not gonna hurt you." But she didn't believe him. She whispered again, softer this time, like a breath collapsing into itself. "Nobody wants me. Nobody wants me." And then her eyes met his, glowing, ancient, and painfully lonely. Arin felt something inside him shift. This wasn't just a creature. This was a child. Arin didn't remember lifting the hatchling into his arms. One moment she was trembling inside the broken cargo pod. The next she was pressed against his chest, tiny claws gripping his shirt like she thought he might disappear. Her scales were warm, too warm, feverish. She was hurt. He carried her through the scrapyard, every step echoing in the dawn silence. The farther he walked, the more he sensed it. They weren't alone. Something had been here recently. Footprints in the sand. Burn marks on discarded metal. A smell like scorched ozone. Whoever abandoned her hadn't gone far. Inside his workshop, he laid her gently on a padded workbench. She whimpered, wings twitching in pain. Arin grabbed tools instinctively, not the sharp ones, the delicate ones, the ones meant for repairing starship wiring. As he examined her injuries, she stared at him with a fear so deep it felt older than her. "You're safe," he whispered, unsure if she understood. But she did. Her voice entered his mind again, soft but trembling. "I didn't mean to be born wrong." Arin froze. "Wrong?" Her scales flickered with shame, like dimming lights. Too small. Wings weak. Fire broken. They said I'd slow the flight. So they left me. A lump formed in Arin's throat. Not abandoned, rejected. His fists clenched. Who throws away a child because she wasn't perfect? He wrapped her broken wing gently, and for the first time, she didn't flinch. She watched him like she was memorizing his face, like she couldn't believe someone was helping her, like she was trying to decide if humans were a myth. The workshop lights flickered suddenly. A low hum rolled across the ground. Something huge had entered the scrapyard. The hum grew deeper, a vibration Arin felt in his ribs more than in his ears. The dragon hatchling pressed herself against him, tiny claws digging into his arm as her scales flickered with terror. She didn't have to speak. He felt her panic bloom in his mind like a shockwave. "They came back," she whispered, Arin killed the workshop lights and crouched, pulling her into the shadows behind a stack of engine casings. Outside, metal groaned as something enormous landed in the scrapyard. Dust sifted from the ceiling. Then a roar tore through the air, fierce, echoing, enraged. Not a roar of a beast, but of a parent. Arin peeked through a crack in the metal wall, just as a massive silhouette emerged between the junk towers. A full-grown dragon, wings spanning half the yard. Its scales crackled with energy, its eyes burning like molten gold. It was searching, tearing through debris, sniffing the air. The hatchling trembled violently. He doesn't want me. He's only here because I ran. Arin's heart hammered. Ran from what? She swallowed, tiny throat tightening. From the fire test. If we fail, we are recycled into ash so the flight stays strong. He felt sick. They would have killed you? She nodded, a single tear turning to steam before it hit the floor. Outside, the massive dragon swung its head toward the workshop. It felt her. It felt her fear. Arin's breaths turned shallow. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. He fixed engines for a living. But as the ground shook from the dragon's steps, he wrapped his arms around the trembling hatchling. "You're not going back," he whispered. "Not while I'm breathing." A thunderous roar answered him. The parent dragon had found them. The workshop doors exploded inward, metal flying like paper. Arin shielded the hatchling with his body as dust swallowed the room. When it cleared, the parent dragon stood framed in the doorway, massive, crackling with heat, eyes locked on the tiny creature clinging to Arin's shirt. Its breath rumbled like thunder. One exhale could incinerate them both. Arin stood anyway. He stepped forward, legs shaking, but his voice steady. "She's not going with you." The dragon's jaw opened, revealing a glow like molten stars. But then, just for a moment, its fire dimmed. Its gaze shifted to the hatchling. Not anger, not hate, regret. The hatchling whimpered, trying to hide behind Arin. Her voice trembled in his mind. "Please don't let him take me." Arin raised both hands. "She's hurt, scared you did this to her." A sound escaped the massive dragon. Not a roar this time, but a low, pained rumble. Its wings sagged. Its claws dug into the dirt as if it carried a weight heavier than its own body. The hatchling blinked, confused. Arin felt something strange, a pulse of emotion that wasn't his. A memory, the parent dragon watching the test, seeing its child fail, seeing the elders turn away, and the worst part, being forbidden to intervene. They hadn't abandoned her because she was weak. They'd abandoned her because the flight's laws demanded it. The parent dragon lowered its head until its snout hovered, inches from the hatchling. Heat shimmered in the air, but its eyes were soft, shimmering with sorrow. The hatchling reached out one tiny claw, then hesitated, then pressed it against her parent's scales. Arin watched the moment, raw, fragile, ancient. The dragon looked at Arin, not with threat, but gratitude, and in a voice that shook the walls, it spoke into Arin's mind. "Raise her, teach her, make her strong in the ways we could not." Then, with a gust of wind that toppled tools and sent sparks skittering across the floor, the great dragon launched into the sky, leaving the hatchling in Arin's arms. Watching with wide, glowing eyes, she whispered, "Do you want me?" Arin smiled, tears blurring his vision. "I already chose you." Her scales brightened, glowing like a rising sun. For the first time, the scrapyard didn't feel like a graveyard of forgotten things. It felt like the beginning of a legend.